Yeah, I mean, you talked a little bit about the sort of
Be cognizant of the comparisons and just use your eyes. It's very easy. Like at work and stuff, it's like just use your eyes. I mean, let's look at us. We do have differences. If you really cared, you can pay attention. But again, we don't really care. I mean, people are just people, and that's what's going to happen. We've dealt with it our whole life. We're going to deal with it, and like. We tend to always look like each other in some form or fashion.
Yeah, can't blame them. And to be mistaken for one of the people you love most in the world, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
Absolutely.
If I really cared, I would just shave my beard and then it'd be super blatant in the face.
Yeah,
so.
I would, yeah.
You know, people talk about having a special bond, almost like knowing the thoughts of the other. Is that something you all feel much of, that yeah, a connection that's beyond just a human-to-human, sibling relationship?
I would like to be cool and say but I mean, we're just very close, probably closer than maybe your average sibling at times, but I can't read his mind, It'd be cool if I could.
Yeah, we get asked all the time the two questions: can you read each other's mind, and can you feel each other's pain? And I know it's crazy, but we cannot.
Well,
I wonder if they can.
Yeah, I think we may learn something in the B segment coming up that there are those among us. All right, so anything especially challenging though about being a twin that we just don't have to bear if we don't have a twin?
Yeah, a challenge I get. You're always considered the twins because most people don't know more than a couple, maybe one or two sets of identical twins. Mm-hmm. So. It's like, oh, you're the twin. So there is like a lack of individual identity at times, but I don't know if that really bothers me too much. That's kind of something different from like if you're not a twin. That's a big difference.
The biggest challenge for me was just growing up. We shared everything, so I'd walk in and he'd have my shirt on, and I'd get mad.
Yeah, and that's not really.
Maybe I want to impress a girl in high school, and he's got my favorite shirt on, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, that's probably it. There really is more pros than cons. So
well, and now if you are missing your badge, well, actually, you probably can't share a badge, can you? It's unique to you.
Yeah, it's unique. It's got
it's got your number on it.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a sheer delight. Thank you to Sergeant Matt Neal and Sergeant Kyle Neal, who both work on the overnight shift, and one of them did last night and are still up with us on the show today in the Nolensville Police Department. Thank you for being here on This Is Nashville.
Thank you so much.
It was great. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us. This was a great time.
We have to take a short break. When we come back, we'll speak with two high schoolers about their experience of being identical twins. And I think that we are live up on YouTube streaming today. So the WPLN YouTube site, you can stream with us. So flip over if you like. Either way, stay with us on This Is Nashville.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and Pathway Lending, Tennessee's largest non-depository community development financial institution, generating more than $1 million in economic impact through small business, affordable housing, and climate-related lending over 25 years. And Amazon, proud sponsor of WPLN's daily show, This Is Nashville, engaging our differences so we can discover our unity. More on Amazon's community work at aboutamazon.com. And Burr and Foreman Law Firm, serving clients with transactional, litigation, and regulatory needs, discovering how each client defines a win and working with them every step of the way to achieve it. Burr.com.
I'm Asma Khalid. Talking with a friend or family member who shares factually inaccurate info doesn't have to be contentious. Social psychologists say one approach is to share a truth that doesn't contradict another person's false belief. We learn about the benefits of bypassing misinformation and how to do it. That's next time on Here and Now.
This afternoon at 1 on 90.3 WPLN News.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Welcome back to our twin episode. We are seeing double in the studio today. I know it's cliche, but you can join us visually, and this is why I say this. We are streaming on YouTube today. We're kind of working through some technical difficulties. Hey, it's a first time streaming video, okay? The volume, I think, is a little low. We'll work it out over time, but if you're watching, you may have to turn the volume up. Also, be sure to say hello in the comments, and so we'll know you're there streaming along with us. We're talking about identical twins here in Middle Tennessee, and joining us now are 17-year-olds Kinsey and Kendall. They're Nashville natives, enjoying their summer break before starting their senior year in a few weeks. Welcome to This is Nashville.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
All right, so let's do the same thing. I did say your name so we know who's talking.
I'm Kendall, and I'm Kinsey.
Yeah, so good luck, listeners. But when you're introducing yourselves together in a group, is there a way that you all differentiate yourselves to like, oh, no, I'm the one who.
So we wear our necklaces, and this is like the biggest like way that people's eyes go to our necklaces to tell us apart.
Kinsey's wearing a necklace that says Mackenzie,
Yeah.
and Kendall has a necklace on also. That's helpful. How long have you been doing that?
We've had this. I have this necklace since like 7th grade. Yeah, since middle school.
So it wasn't just for today. Why do you feel the need to do that? Is it because you actually? I mean, I could imagine you might feel bad for people like getting your name wrong. You're like, I know it's hard, but
Honestly, I just really like my necklace. I just like the style of it, but it does really help. People do, their eyes just drawn to it, so yeah. It's like a name tag.
Well, do you think most people can tell just by looking at you who it is, or do they have to really spend some time with you to get to know your personality? You're Kendall.
Yeah, something I noticed is that the people who've known us for a while, they can really differentiate our looks and they can tell. They don't have to look at our necklaces. But people who are new, like newly learning that we're twins and just met us for the first time,
Right.
they rely on our necklaces very
So,
much.
like, first day of school, you're in a new. I imagine people probably at your school know you now, but that person, how long do you give them before you're like, no, I am Kinsey. Don't call me Kendall again.
Honestly, I give people like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks, kind of specific. No, I give them like a school year.
A whole school year.
Yeah, because it's hard for a lot of people. But we normally have different hairstyles that help people as well. So I feel like we look similar, but I feel like we have our key differences as well.
All right, what are those hairstyles? I don't want to be the one describing them.
So like right now, Kenzie, she has braids and I have my hair natural. And usually Kenzie will have braids a lot more than I will. That will help. If I do have braids, I'll have like color in them and she'll have like all black.
So what do you all get? What does set you apart in the friend group? This is how Kendall is. Oh, this is how Kenzie is.
So a lot of people would say that Kendall's more like loud or more outgoing than me. I'm more like quieter. We're still both extroverted and loud, but she's like way more louder than me.
Is that how it goes? Okay.
What's like some people say.
Does this seem fair, Kendall?
Yeah.
All right.
To be honest, I am pretty like social.
Well, so how do you think that you are alike? What is it that you all do that is, really so similar that it's kind of crazy that you both do it?
You want to do it? So we honestly have like the same routine. We'll get up around the same time. In school, we take almost the same classes. We're not in the same classes, but we take the same classes.
Yeah.
Like this year we had like 3 classes together, actually. And then we also have like the same, like we do track together, we do theater together.
Theater.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Has that presented opportunities that other people who don't have a twin might be able to do, like playing for each other? I guess you certainly have someone who could fill in if needed.
Yeah. There was this one scene last year that there was only one spot of somebody who could do it. And I know Kendall wants to do it really badly, but also I want to do it really badly. And I don't remember like what happened, but I ended up being in that spot. And I remember like each show night we would just switch places so that we both could do it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing that even as you're growing up through high school, you find ways that you rely on each other. How would you explain that? Do you all rely on each other in any special way?
In school, I really rely on her in science and math. Those are my weaknesses, and she gets it faster than I do, especially math. So I'll like rely on her for help in those classes for sure. And we rely on each other for like our style or something. So if I want to know if this outfit how it will look on me, I'll just like look at on her, and we can kind of tell. And so yeah.
So you all have another sibling,
Yes.
but this sibling has no twin. Well, does this make you sad for your older sister? Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. Like what makes her life different than yours? Is it become obvious?
I will say, I feel like when I was younger, I didn't really like, realize, that she doesn't like have that connection with anybody else. But as we gotten older, it's just like, I feel like we all still get along really well, but she won't have like the connection that me and Kendall have.
Well, so even somebody like that, as close as a sister, can a sister of twins understand what it is like to be a twin?
I think she can. All the interactions that we'll have while she's there, it's like I think she understands.
Yeah, well, I would hope so over the time. Yeah, so tell me about this. Yeah, y'all are together all the time. It sounds like you've got the same classes. You do the same after school programs. You're in track. You're in theater. Do you need time apart though?
Yes, I think after a long day of being together, we'll like go our separate ways, but in the house. So like she'll go to the room and I'll go in the living room and just chill.
When you say
separately.
the room, it's because you share a room.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you have to call, I'm going to take the room for a little bit, or you just know it's time. We need some.
It's more like it's time. We'll just separate from here. Yeah.
Help us with etiquette. When people see you and they're not sure who's who, and you don't have your necklaces on that day, what should they do?
I say take a wild guess.
Really?
Yeah. I'm honestly fine with people guessing. It does get to a point. And I would at least like they're trying. There are people who don't try to tell us apart, and they will know us for like a long, long time, and they're just like, well, whoever you are, I'd rather them try to guess.
I like it. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville. I'm your host, Blake Farmer. Today's episode's all about twins in Middle Tennessee. We're talking to Kenzie and Kendall, identical twins, going to be seniors in high school in just a few weeks. Senior year, there's a future ahead of you. Have you all decided kind of the next step? Is it going to be a step you take together?
So we are still deciding, and honestly, I'm really not sure. One thing is, I'm leaning worse to cosmetology school instead of college.
This is Kendall talking.
Yes, this is Kendall talking. And I know Kenzie's leaning towards college. So if we do go to those paths, we will separate unless I decide to go to college.
Do you feel like you're supposed to do the same thing? You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I think it depends.
Well, I mean, we did
on
just
the
have two
situation.
police officers from the same police force in here, or 33.
Yes, I think it depends on the situation. Sometimes I feel like we should do the same thing, but I know that we have our choices. You know what I mean? I feel like when it comes to career-wise, we should kind of go which one we want to go to more, like separate, but we have the same interests. You know what I mean? So.
Well, it's understandable. Well, here at Nashville Public Radio, we have an identical twin. In fact, they're in the This Is Nashville family. Liv Lombardi, our board operator extraordinaire, also has an identical twin who's not in the studio, Ari, who lives in Portland. And we asked them both a few questions about their experience as twins and what it's like to live far apart from each other. Let's take a listen.
Hi, I'm Ari.
Hi, my name is Liv.
I live in Portland,
I live in Nashville.
and my identical twin is Liv.
My identical twin is Ari.
I think we're really similar in the way that we look, our mannerisms,
Oh, that's kind of hard. We're really similar because
how we sound. That kind of stuff is kind of uncanny with us.
out of the two of us,
I would say that I'm more direct and less into maybe some of the charm that Liv has.
I wouldn't say I'm more outgoing, but I think I'm a little more open when I first meet people and a little less intense in some ways.
Being a twin is a blessing and truly a gift.
Being a twin is the best thing in the whole world. It's my favorite part of life.
Living in a different city than Liv is definitely hard.
It's challenging.
It's disorienting,
It's kind of become the normal.
especially after we see each other and then we go back to living in different places. It's, oh, well, what's the point now of Liv's not here?
I miss Ari most all the time. It's hard to quantify that.
Because that's kind of a philosophical question of like, what is the most of something? And my missing for Liv just is a thing that exists.
I miss Ari most when I'm doing something really exciting or I'm doing something that brings me great joy. I wish that they were there.
When I'm having new experiences and when I am not having new experiences, I wish that Liv was with me.
I miss Ari most when I'm playing music. I miss Ari most when I'm cooking a great meal that I know that they would love. I miss Ari most all the time.
Since we moved to different places, I feel like our connection and our relationship has definitely changed.
It's really changed a lot, how we communicate.
That we just individuated, and so our lives are separate now. Our values are different because of the life experiences we've had. And
It's also, I think, expanded my worldview in a sense because Ari lived in Asia. It like enabled me to see the world differently because they were seeing the world so much differently.
I think that it's also interesting that we get to know each other in new ways.
I think in the future we will continue to live apart,
We will continue to live apart for a little bit.
but hopefully closer.
And then after that, who knows?
I have hope for the future that we might live at least a couple-hour drive from each other.
I would tell any twin who's thinking about moving away from their twin,
Do it,
live your life. Talk to your twin about it.
but know that you'll always feel them with you.
Figure out what communication methods are going to work for you, and
Depending on your relationship, it can be really hard.
don't let distance be a thing that separates you energetically, because you always have each other, right?
I wouldn't change anything.
Well, that is beautiful. You know, I didn't think about that. We're back in the studio. This is Blake Farmer. You're listening to This is Nashville, and we're in the studio with Kinsey and Kendall, identical twins. I didn't think about how much this was going to feel like, a little pep talk for you all right here. What do you make of Ari and Liv on almost separate coasts? There was some encouragement to live your own life.
Mm-hmm.
They also seem to finish their sentences, each other's sentences, just like you do. Tell us this. When you're kind of planning your own future, can you envision a future without the other by your side? Because it sounds like it's been kind of hip to hip to this point.
So I can say that, like, when I think of college, I don't really see her in my vision of college. However, when I think of life outside of college and I'm getting like my first apartment and things, I do see her as my roommate. So it's kind of opposite for me. I see two different routes. So for college, I see if we go to college, it's going to be like us sharing at the same dorm. And I see it if I go to cosmetology route, then that's going to be like us separating. But outside of college, I see like my house like down the street and like her house like a couple blocks down the street.
Either way, you're close. Well, to this point, I mean, I assume that is when you're doing everything together, same school, same activities, you essentially even have the same friends, right?
Yes.
What's that like?
We have literally the same friend groups. It's just kind of our personalities.
Yeah.
It just like draws. Yeah. And then also I feel like eventually, like if I was to make a friend on the first day, eventually they would somehow find out about Kendall and they'd be like, I didn't know you had a twin. I'd be like, oh yeah. I often forget I have a twin sometimes.
Forget?
Too. Yeah.
And is it forget because it's just like having any other sort of sibling, but to them, like you see Kendall and you don't realize like, oh, to other people, this person looks exactly like me. In fact, could be mistaken for me. You see an entirely different person.
That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
And like to me, I see us, we look similar, but I don't think we look identical in my opinion. So like often if we're like walking the cafeteria or something, I'll feel like a lot of stares. And I'll be like, are people staring at us? And then I'll realize, oh, they didn't realize we were twins. Or if we're like walking down a hallway and it's just us and like there's someone staring, I'm like, and then I realize they're trying to figure out, okay, is that Kendall or is that Kenzie? Yeah.
How do you all deal with the stares? Because I assume that happens even in just public places. You go to a movie or something, people are, oh, they must be twins.
I used to really not like the stares, but I got used to it at this point.
Do you acknowledge it?
No, honestly, I kind of just avoid it. It also just like depends on where I am, but for the most part, I just got used to it. And I will acknowledge it. I'll be like, oh yeah, they're staring. That's a twin stare. Like they're staring because they just
Twin
realized.
stare. I like that. All right, final thought for any other young identical twins out there who are listening, and I'm sure there may be a few, who are in grade school, middle school, maybe. What advice might you give them about navigating these next few years, heading into high school and beyond?
I would.
Uh-oh.
I would say just get used to it. Like you're always gonna get your name wrong constantly, so you just gotta get used to people.
Or get a necklace.
Yes, get a name tag. Just get used to your name getting called the other by mistake or on purpose for some reason. Don't take it to offense. Some people, and some people feel extremely bad. And I'm like, it's okay, I'm used to it. But they just feel extremely bad when they get, our names wrong.
Well, Kenzie, is that what you were going to say? Y'all did start to talk at the same time.
I was going to say I would recommend doing a sport together.
Together, though?
Yeah. I just feel like there's a way you can push each other in your sport and everything, or just like a club in general. Yeah, because speaking of high school, sports and clubs make that fun, but if you do it together, it'll make it even more fun. So.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. Kendall and Kenzie, identical twin high schoolers heading into their senior year here in Middle Tennessee. We have to take one more quick break. When we return, we'll zoom out just a bit to consider those who are closest to identical twins. In fact, they're the people closest to the twins we've heard from. Kendall and Kenzie's mom, Liv's wife. We'll get at what it's like to live with and love identical twins. So stay with us.
Funding for This Is Nashville comes from you, our listeners, and the First Art Museum, now presenting Venice and the Ottoman Empire, a cross-cultural exhibition featuring artwork that tells the stories of art, culture, and exchange between two Mediterranean superpowers. More at FirstArtMuseum.org. And Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee, working to help donors make more possible through the power of community giving. More at CFMT.org. WPLN's housing reporting is supported in part by Amazon's Housing Equity Fund.
So there's the news, and then there are the stories that make you understand the news. And on The Daily, we seek out those stories, and we find the best way to tell them, with sound, nuance, history, with emotion, and we do it 5 days a week. I'm Michael Barbaro, and this is The Daily.
Join us for The Daily, tonight at 6:30 on 90.3 WPLN News.
I'm Blake Farmer, and this is Nashville. Today we are talking about what it's like to be and to love identical twins here in Middle Tennessee. And we've been streaming video from the studio on WPLN's YouTube channel. So if you'd like to watch, you're welcome to go over there. Although the twins have left the studio, so we're down to the program, part of the program where we're talking to those who are closest to the twins in their lives. Joining me now is Jada, mom of Kenzie and Kendall, who were lovely in the last segment, who we just spoke with, and Courtney Ortell, the wife of our board operator, Liv Lombardi, who has an identical twin in Portland. So we also heard from them in the last segment, lives in Portland. Jada and Courtney, welcome to you both here. This is Nashville.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about how you both met your twins, which obviously happened in very different ways. So Jada, Kendall and Kenzie, they do have an older sister who we talked about briefly. So you were a mom before Kendall and Kenzie coming along, but how did you find out that you were going to be a mom to two more?
Funny story. So I went in for my ultrasound.
Okay.
And prior to the ultrasound, their paternal grandmother is a twin. And she was saying, oh, it would be so good
An
if you were
identical
having
twin?
She's a fraternal twin.
Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. It was their paternal grandmother.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so she said it would be great if I was having twins. And I said, oh, I'm not having twins. So I went to my ultrasound. And when I was looking at the image, I saw two babies, but it still didn't register that they were twins. So I said, well, it's been a while since I've had an ultrasound. Are you guys doing split screens? Like, is that the front of the baby and the back of the baby? She said, oh, no, that's two of them. You got to be kidding me.
Oh, my. And now, at the time, do you know that they're going to be identical? Can they tell right then that it's like, this is identical twins?
At that time, they didn't say anything.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So you just knew that you had two coming, and you braced for what was next. So what did father think?
Oh, he was excited. I told him, I said, you're not being realistic. So we took a trip to Babies R Us.
Okay.
And I took him down every aisle, pointed out everything we needed, and told him we needed two of those.
Wait, that's how you told him?
Oh,
or he
I
was
told
there
him,
in the...
he was excited to find out it was
Okay,
twins.
okay.
I was like, this is expensive. Like, you don't realize how much two babies are going to be, because these were his first children. So he didn't know, like, the expense of even having one child, let alone two at the same time.
Okay. So that was your way to drive this home. Like, no, do you understand? Well, do you need two cribs? I was about to say two cribs. Does one need two cribs with two twins?
Depending on the size. So initially, no,
so.
we didn't have.
Right.
We started off with one, and
that's
then
what
we
I've
would
heard.
move on to two, or, depending on how big your children were. So they were still small enough to fit in one. We did have like two bassinets, and, just kind of altered, when they got
Two
their
car seats or more than that?
two toddler beds. Like,
Yeah.
you just move on.
Well, Courtney, when you met Liv, who's a twin, in person for the first time, did you know Liv had a twin?
No.
How did you find out?
Just through conversation, about a month.
It's going
in.
to come up, I guess.
It came up, but I also didn't meet Ari for almost 2 years of knowing Liv because they were living so far away.
Right. Well, what was it like to meet the twin who you knew existed, and this person that is like Liv, like no one else?
I will never forget it.
Yeah.
We were picking Ari up from the airport. And, I've been on the phone with them, photographs, I know. But nothing will prepare you for looking at your person's face on another person. And of course, they're so different. They're different people, but there's no way to really describe the feeling.
Right. It's not even like meeting, I'm meeting my wife's sister. It's like, well, yeah, they look alike and have some mannerisms that are the same. Not the same as, an identical twin.
No. But what really got me that first meeting was sitting down, having a chat. We're having lunch. And Liv and I have had so much time where we have that sort of unspoken language two people in a relationship have.
Mm.
And I said something to Liv, and Ari answered.
Oh.
In this sort of, I know more than just someone sitting across from me. It was unnerving at first, and I just sat back and went, "Oh, okay."
Well, right.
I
that
need
they
to
have
understand
a
this.
bond that
Yeah.
you will not have with your person.
No, it's very different.
Yeah. Well, Liv was saying that they talk like every day.
Mhm.
On the, which, I mean, I guess there are many siblings who talk that often, who are grown, live on separate sides of the country. But, it sounds like, what did you notice first about that bond once you saw it in person?
How important it is.
Mm.
I understood how important it was, but having them in the same physical space, I started to really understand the things that just didn't feel right in Liv when Ari wasn't there.
Mm.
So, I encourage as much time together as possible that they can have.
Yeah, I could imagine the separation. Yeah, is more than just missing a sibling. It's like part of you is not with you, not incompleteness or something.
It's like their own gravity.
Mm. If you're just tuning in, this is Nashville. I'm your host, Blake Farmer. We're talking twins today. We're wrapping up the hour, not talking to twins, but talking about folks who love twins. Jada, as the mother of twins, I wonder, has there been anything that you needed to do as a parent to help, in the connection, that this special bond that Courtney's talking about between Ari and Liv? Is there anything that you had to do to sort of step in and make that happen, or have you had difficulty understanding it at times?
No, it was, I would want to say it was kind of instant, but for their first few months of life, they wouldn't even look at each other. And so we would try to put them, face to face, and they would just turn their heads. They never looked at each other until they went to the doctor to get shots. And they were both laying there, and they grabbed each other's hands and looked at each other. And it was just like from then on, they just recognized each other. But prior to that, they did not. And they've just had a bond ever since. So
Are you saying because you it's like you wanted to have this moment where they smile at each other, like, look, they're twins, they love each
Yeah.
other, and they just wouldn't do it
they would
until
not
you
look at each
jab
other.
them with a needle.
Yeah, and they're like, I guess they felt the pain, but from then on, that solidified their bond.
Wow. Well, I'm interested, Courtney, with the bond that you're talking about. Is there how have you approached that other than trying to make sure Liv and Ari have that time together? Do do you feel like the third wheel or something? You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
Liv and I had to do a lot of work, especially in the beginning, because Liv was sort of doing this. Ari is the most important,
Yeah.
which I wanted to redefine as is the most important, and there's another important. There has to be room.
Yeah.
And I wasn't pressing myself in that. I was asking the questions, what if we have children? Right? Because now we're having layers of what's more important, and that's an impossible thing to put on yourself of, because what would you do if you had children?
Yeah.
If you're weighing it. And I think that made a big difference once it was our relationship is important, and it's our relationship, and your twinship is sacred and important, and that's its own too. There doesn't have to be a weight between what is.
Right. That one is more important than the other.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, have you seen benefits to being married to a twin? I mean, it's obviously unique. Does it benefit you in any way?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Well, I wonder about being the mother of twins. Being the mother, are there benefits to it? Obviously, there's struggle. There was the Babies R Us visit.
No, I really don't think. I don't think it's a benefit other than the attention. We do get a lot of attention.
How do you handle the attention? Because obviously they bear the brunt of it, I would think, or they do now. Maybe you did at first, right?
Yeah, just the same questions. Are they twins? How is it carrying twins? How do you tell them apart? Like the same questions they get are the same questions that I receive also.
When did they start answering for themselves?
Ooh, they've always been a little feisty.
Mhm.
So
I sense that.
So as soon as they can talk, if you call, like if you're talking to Kenzie and you call her Kendall, she'll say Kenzie, and it'll be the other way around, and it's just instantaneous. They'll just do it, and I didn't have to do it.
Yeah. Well, as far as navigating, it just maybe it just works out because there is that bond that is almost beyond words between them. But it just seems the growing up as teenagers doing things. I mean, even the anecdote they talked about with the play they were in, they both wanted the same part and they figured out some way to share it. I'm guessing there's scenarios like that don't always work out beautifully. But how have you navigated them kind of being so similar, wanting to do the same things? How have you navigated that?
So I have encouraged them to be individuals. So there are some things like Kendall, she played in the band. Kenzie didn't play in the band. So Kenzie may have been interested in cheerleading at one point and Kendall wasn't. So there are still little things that one may be interested in doing and they'll pursue it, whereas the other one that's not interested, they'll just show up for support.
And are you saying you almost encourage, I don't want to say discourage, but encourage them to have their own thing, rather than making them feel like, well, if Kenzie does band, then you need to do band.
Yeah, for
also.
sure. Because, even though they're together all the time, they have similarities, there are still certain things that they may not enjoy. And so I do want them to do what they enjoy to do. And the other one, like I said, is just show up for support because like Kenzie, I don't know why, she just was not interested in band. I was in the band. My oldest daughter was in the band and Kendall. But Kenzie was like, no.
Well, they need their own things.
Yes.
A couple final thoughts here. Courtney, anyone out there who might find themselves dating a twin, what would you tell them?
There was one Christmas where Liv's grandma stood next to me while they were putting up their ornaments. And she said, "You're not jealous, are you?" I said, "No." And I learned that had been an issue in the past. And I think that what we just talked about, that idea of what's more important, they go through that. And I think if someone's marrying a twin, if you can fast forward through that piece, it'll be better. You know, there is no replacing that space for a twin. You need to make room for both of you.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, and for those who are expecting twins, you know, we'll recommend the organization Music City Multiples here. But Courtney, Jada, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Jada is the mom of identical twins, Kendall and Kinsey, who we spoke with earlier. Courtney Ortel, the wife of Liz Lombardi, our board operator here on This Is Nashville. We'll have links to Music City Multiples on the show post for today. Thanks for tuning in this hour. This is a production of Nashville Public Radio. Today's episode was produced by Liv Lombardi and Catherine Rappelt. It was directed by Tasha A.F. Limley. Liv Lombardi is our board operator. The masterminds behind that theme music you hear are LaRange and Namir Blade. Our show's also a podcast. You can ask your smart speaker to play the latest episode of This Is Nashville or just use your podcasting app. This is Nashville. I'm Blake Farmer. Go in peace.